First, we have Dr. Rini Suryantini. Rini is a lecturer at the Department of Architecture, University Indonesia, an active researcher at the Architecture Design Research Cluster, and engages in various community projects. So she joins regularly the student excursion of traditional architecture in many places in Indonesia and is appointed as one of the advisors for the activities. We also have Professor Yandi Andri Yatmo. Professor Yandi is a professor of architecture at Universitas Indonesia and leads the Architecture Design Research Cluster. His current works are primarily on the design theories and methods and their relevance to design practice.
Thank you for the introduction. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I will be here to present our paper. We would like to share the learning of architecture at Universitas Indonesia through students' direct engagement with traditional communities, and in this case, known as Ekskursi Arsitektur UI. We hope that we can get some lessons from this session to advance our knowledge together, particularly to develop students' competency through community engagement. The idea of this presentation is to present a different process of learning architecture through vernacular architecture excursion program. Maybe it would be different from the previous presenters that took location in urban area, while this one takes the process of documentation in a traditional community, which is usually located in rural settlements or remote areas in Indonesia. It is a student-led community engagement. The community engagement in this program is a learning activity that directly engages with traditional community, conducted through fieldwork to learn about traditional or vernacular architecture directly from the origin. It is an activity initiated by the students and has now become an annual program by the student organization and supported by the Department of Architecture. We argue that learning architecture should be not limited to classrooms or studios. Learning from such communities becomes very beneficial for the students' learning process. Following is a short clip as an illustration of what happens in excursions and how the students engage and learn from the communities. This clip is a recap made last year by the students.
Ekskursi Arsitektur Universitas Indonesia adalah program kerja tahunan dari bidang PIPTEK, Ikatan Mahasiswa Arsitektur Fakultas Teknik Universitas Indonesia. Program ini merupakan sebuah perjalanan yang dilakukan di penjuru Indonesia dengan destinasi yang berbeda setiap tahunnya. Tujuannya adalah mempelajari dan mendokumentasikan arsitektur vernakuler Indonesia yang hasilnya akan dipresentasikan dalam bentuk eksibisi, film, dan buku. Buku dan film memaparkan informasi arsitektur yang lahir dari masyarakat dan sumber daya alam di sekitarnya. Serta eksibisi menghadirkan elemen yang belum hadir pada buku dan film. Kegiatan Ekskursi Arsitektur UI pertama kali dilakukan pada tahun 1965 di Bali, dan di tahun 2018 ini, Ekskursi Arsitektur UI akan berangkat menuju Pulau Seram, Maluku.
Okay. This presentation highlights the progression of documentation activities by the students through times. This map is a recap of the excursions conducted from the 1970s until now. It starts with the idea of making a journey, and now it is evolving into a program that documents and disseminates the result. I myself was part of this as students, and now I'm one of the lecturers that is accompanying the activities. There are usually 4 to 6 lecturers that involve in the excursions assigned by the department. We are usually involved from the preliminary discussion at the beginning and after the field work as they produce outputs. We are also asked by the students to give lectures for pre-departures workshop. When possible, we accompany the students during the field work. The students learn from the community outside the curriculum. It is not a credit earning program. They learn the other kind of architecture in their own way. In this process, they get the chance to learn a vast range of inquiry processes in gathering information, which eventually can inform their architecture and design thinking knowledge. In comparison with the research activities that involves fieldwork, there are particular steps that usually taken, and each step should be clearly identified as shown in the slide. It starts with gathering information and ends with dissemination work in the form of scientific publication, including techniques that utilize manual or digital tools. If we position Ekskursi Arsitektur UI, it can be said that excursion is not a scientific research with the prescribed methodology, analysis, and synthesis. Ekskursi is rather an exploration, a documentation activity that allows students to learn some part of research activities. Therefore, the process of analyzing, interpreting, curating data, and publications are limited. However, through this activity, the students learn the basics of gathering information from the society, recording and documenting the information in appropriate way as an effort to get a good quality of data. Based on the last 10 excursion activities, we as lecturers see that these activities are positive and beneficial for their learning process in architecture, not only to hone their hard skills, but also their soft skills. There are 2 important aspects in which the students can nurture their knowledge and hone their skill. The first aspect is that the students experience and learn different kinds of architectures from what they learn at the studio. And the second aspect is that the students get to know the society directly, engage themselves with the society, and learn more about it. Such engagement pushes the students further beyond their accustomed way of learning architecture. It broadens students' perspective of various architecture, particularly the ones embedded with strong cultural backgrounds. They learn from the society that architecture is very dynamic and consists of complex processes situated in various social and cultural contexts. They learn to investigate the meaning of the built environment from the macro to micro scale. They attempt to cover documentation of a wide range of areas that are meaningful for the society. They become resourceful in doing the documentation, engaging appropriately between the manual work and employing digital tools, such as using the aerial photographs, using drones, and the GPS tracking devices. They aim to produce a good quality of mapping, drawings, and diagrams. Drawings, visual notes, audio recordings, photos and films, aerial photographs, and mappings on ground to cover many areas becomes the challenges. In a limited time, they explore the structures in the village. They try to understand the local technology that matters to structure, construction, and material knowledge. By following the community's everyday activity, the women, the men, the elderly, the young, they scrutinize the spatial organization. They observe the community's activities from early in the morning till late at night in the village or going around the village. From going to the field or to the sea for food sourcing, food storing, and preparing, and many more activities. The students also try to understand the beliefs or customs that regulate the community's life in order to understand the spatial organization, their interior arrangement, placement of objects, and so on. The students always attempt to document the information comprehensively in an orderly and systematic manner. With the help of technology, the students try to optimize their experience with the documentation. They have the chance to maintain their autonomy in learning architecture, an opportunity to reconstruct their knowledge. This is an example of their work in exploring 360 documentation during building a tree house in Sulawesi.
Kamu paling utama kasi.
So they climb the tree together with the community as they build the house above the ground, and they try to capture every angle during the construction. Okay. The second aspect is about the direct engagement with the society. Aside from collecting the various information on tangible and intangible aspect, they should gain trust and deal with the consent from the community. During the field work, they live in the village, if allowed, or nearby settlement. Usually they take 3 or 4 days at the beginning for orientation, getting to know the community first before they can be close with them and further experience the living situation in the village. They befriend the community, join their everyday activities, and even participate in the community special occasions like harvesting ceremonies, a wedding, or a death rituals. The field work only takes about 2 until 3 weeks, including the trip itself. But the excursion itself consists of preparation that takes 6 months before and can last until 8 months after the field work. They plan, coordinate, they manage the field work among themselves, also with the campus, the local government, and the community. They need to deal with the challenges such as communication lines, bureaucracy, terrain, and distance, which then limit the transportation access, language barriers, taboos, and rituals that may exist in the community. Here we can see that the students plan the strategies and create contextually, which allows them to independently develop their skills related to the engagement with the society. By conducting the excursion, the students will have the chance to apply their knowledge of architecture and hone their hard skill and soft skill. Here, they learn to document architecture in orderly and systematic manner and integrate their knowledge, know-how, skills through this process. They should be able to appropriate manual work and employ digital tools, working with limitations. They even have to do some maneuvering in any situation, including the current pandemic situation, which was a challenge in the last 2 years. Before the pandemic, there were usually 20 to 30 students who do the field work. But during the pandemic, there were only a group of 12, and the last time was a group of 4. Not to mention data managing during and after the field work becomes the challenge, as they have to deal with data storage, power supply, internet connections, and so on. As I mentioned before, that excursion consists of a long series of activities, and the field work is only one of them. For this whole activity, they have a large team consisting of 40 until 60 students across batches, from the first year to the third year students. Usually they are led by a third going to fourth year student. They prepare themselves with basic knowledge and skill that might be required for the field work through a series of workshops so they can be ready substantially, physically, and mentally as well. The students also reflect on some things, particularly their moral obligation to the community. They intend to preserve the valuable information they get from the community through the documentation they make. And they also want to give back to the community and larger audience by introducing the traditional community and the architecture to the public. Therefore, they prepare exhibitions, produce books, films, and many more. They raise funds, publicize their activities in their own style, disseminate to the public through various social media platforms. Here are the examples of the output produced by the students as a way to give back to the community and the wider public. Books, movies, and exhibitions in the National Museum in Jakarta. Through this excursion, we can see how the students grow in unexpected ways more than they experience in the studio. The engagement with the community pushes them further beyond their accustomed way of learning architecture. Up till now, we accommodate the students' activity by giving necessary workshops and discussion. The department also opens elective courses for introducing the idea of ethnic architecture, consisting of 3 credits course. From our perspective, such a learning process is beneficial insight for further developing the current curriculum, particularly in countries like Indonesia, which is blessed with cultural diversity. This is an acknowledgement of the faculty members who involved in the excursion program and a high appreciation for the students, team, and the alumni of architecture, Ekskursi Arsitektur. So thank you for the session for this meeting. So I give it back to you, Professor Keng Hua. Thank you.